ceasefire. And Sri Lanka beat Bangladesh by 3 runs in the first T20 of the 3-match series in Sylhet. Assalamu alaikum. Headlines there were from News at 10. Welcome to everyone. I'm Mahmoud Rahman. Let's move on now to the details.
আমরা বন্ধুত্ব কামনা করি সকলের সঙ্গে, কিন্তু কারোর মাস্টারি কামনা করি না, কার চক্রাঙ্গনি কামনা করি না।
Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has said the government has been equipping BGB with state-of-the-art technology to ensure foolproof security at the frontiers and tackle transnational crimes. The Premier was addressing a function marking the Border Guard Bangladesh BGB Day 2023 at BGB headquarters in the city today. Sheikh Hasina continued that they adopted the Border Guard Bangladesh Vision 2041 to turn it into a world standard and modern force. The BGB personnel are now able to smoothly protect the frontiers, check crimes and ensure safety and security of the lives and properties of the frontier people due to the measures taken by the government, she said. The Prime Minister also praised the BGB personnel for their role in checking smuggling in contraband goods and drugs, women and children, cross-border crimes and ensuring security of life and property of the frontier people.
সীমান্ত রক্ষার পাশাপাশি চোরাচালান, মাদক চালান সহ নারী শিশু পাচার বিভিন্ন কাজ বিজিবি অত্যন্ত দায়িত্বের সাথে সেগুলি প্রতিরোধ করে থাকে এবং এই চোরাচালানি মালামাল আটক করতে সমর্থন হন। সীমান্তের অত্যন্ত প্রহরী পাশাপাশি দেশের অভ্যন্তরে যখনই কোনো সমস্যা হয়, সেই অগ্নিসন্ত্রাস থেকে শুরু করে নানা ধরনের ঘটনা ঘটেছে, তখনও বিজিবির সদস্যরা সাধারণ মানুষের পাশে আছেন এবং তার জানমাল রক্ষায় সবসময় ভূমিকা রাখেন এবং জাতির একটা আস্থা বিশ্বাস আপনারা অর্জন করেছেন। নিশ্চিত যে নজরদারি আন্তঃরাষ্ট্রীয় সন্ত্রাসবাদ মোকাবিলায় ঝুঁকিপূর্ণ সীমান্তে স্মার্ট ডিজিটাল সার্ভেইলেন্স অ্যান্ড টেকনিক্যাল রেসপন্স সিস্টেম স্থাপন করা হয়েছে। এসব অত্যাধুনিক যুগোপযোগী অস্ত্র সরঞ্জামাদি বিজিবিতে যুক্ত হয় এই বাহিনীর আভিযানিক সক্ষমতার পাশাপাশি মনোবল, কর্ম উদ্দীপনা, দক্ষতা বহুগুণ বৃদ্ধি পেয়েছে। বর্ডার গার্ড বাংলাদেশ ভিশন 2041 প্রণয়ন করেছে। যেভাবে বাংলাদেশকে আমরা 2041 সালের মধ্যে উন্নত সমৃদ্ধ স্মার্ট বাংলাদেশ করতে চাই, আমাদের বিজিবি হবে তেমনি একটি স্মার্ট বাহিনী। মনে রাখবেন, শৃঙ্খলা এবং চেইন অফ কমান্ড একটি শৃঙ্খলা বাহিনীর সবচেয়ে গুরুত্বপূর্ণ চালিকা শক্তি। কখনো শৃঙ্খলা ব্যাঘাত ঘটাবেন না, চেইন অফ কমান্ড মেনে চলবেন। বর্ডার গার্ড বাংলাদেশ একদিন বিশ্বমানের আধুনিক সীমান্তরক্ষী বাহিনী হিসেবে গড়ে উঠবে এবং বাংলাদেশের মানুষের আস্থার প্রতীক হয়ে সীমান্তের অতন্দ্র প্রহরী হিসেবে এগিয়ে যাবে, সেটাই আমরা চাই।
Earlier, at the onset of the program, the Prime Minister reviewed the parade riding on an open jeep accompanied by the BGB DG and escorted by the parade commander. She later witnessed the 4 contingents, a spectacular parade of the 4 contingents along with the national flag-bearing party of the paramilitary force, and took a state salute from the welcome days. The Prime Minister later distributed the BGB Medal, President BGB Medal, BGB Medal Service and President BGB Medal Service among 72 selected BGB personnel for their operational and non-operational outstanding contributions. The Premier also unveiled a sculpture of Bangabandhu titled Prerona at the BGB headquarters. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has said that the forcibly displaced Rohingyas must be ensured to return to their own land in dignified way. The Prime Minister said this while Dr. Payam Akhavan called on her at her Shanshad Bhavan office this evening. Akhavan is the appointed lawyer of Bangladesh in the International Tribunal for Climate Change Affairs. The Premier said the repatriation of Rohingyas is very important, but it has become difficult now because of internal conflict in Myanmar. While briefing, speechwriter to the Prime Minister M. Nazrul Islam said during the call-on, the Prime Minister also said that Rohingyas are now a huge burden for Bangladesh. She also reiterated Bangladesh's stance not to allow anybody to use its territory for any kind of insurgency. While discussing on climate issue, Dr. Payam Akhavan told the Premier that Bangladesh has now become a global leader in the area of climate justice. Sheikh Hasina said that Bangladesh formed Climate Trust Fund after the COP15, not depending on anyone. In addition, she said, Bangladesh has also taken various programs for adaptation and mitigation, especially developing green belt for the protection of coastal zones. Principal Secretary to the Prime Minister, M. Tofazul Hussain Mia, was present. Since the launch of the Metro Rail till June last year, 18 crore 28 lakh 6,514 taka has been earned. Road Transport and Bridges Minister Obaidul Qadir said this while replying to a question in the question and answer session in Parliament today. The House resumed its sitting with Speaker Dr. Chairman Chaudhry in the chair this afternoon. Replying to a question, State Minister for Women and Children Affairs Simin Hussain Rimi told the House that 5,09,870 children have been trained in swimming across the country. Meanwhile, 9 parliamentary standing committees have been reconstituted in the Jatiyo Shongshod today. State Minister for Information and Broadcasting Muhammad Ali Arafat placed the annual report 2022 of the Bangladesh Press Council in the Parliament. Later, a general discussion was held on Thanksgiving motion on President's speech. Taking part in the discussion, the Parliament members told the House that Bangladesh is moving forward with great speed to build a smart Bangladesh under the pragmatic leadership of Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. Education Minister Mohibul Hasan Chaudhry Naufel informed Jatiyo Shongshod that the current budget allocated for the Education Ministry is 20,000 crore taka more than the national budget during the BNP regime. He told the Parliament that revolutionary changes are taking place in the education sector, along with infrastructural development. Amin Hussain Amu, among others, took part in the discussion. The sitting of the House will resume in the afternoon tomorrow. Speaker Dr. Chairman Chaudhry has said the Deputy Commissioners can play an important role in developing advanced and technology-based skilled human resources. He said the Deputy Commissioners will have to work for the people as servants, not rulers. The Speaker said this while exchanging views with the Deputy Commissioners marking DC Conference 2024 at the Oath Room of the Jatiyo Shongshod today. Chief Whip Nuri Alam Chaudhry was present on the occasion. Cabinet Secretary Muhammad Mahbub Hussain, Senior Secretary of Parliament, Secretariat K.M. Abdus Salam, Deputy Commissioner of Sylhet Sheikh Rasul Hassan and Khulna Divisional Commissioner Muhammad Hilal Mahmud Sharif also spoke on the occasion. The Speaker said the role of Deputy Commissioners is unique in building a bridge between the people and the government. Chairman of Anti-Corruption Commission Muhammad Moinuddin Abdullah urged Deputy Commissioners to keep their houses free from corruption. He made the call while replying to a query from journalists after the 7th working session on the second day of DC Conference at Osmani Memorial Auditorium today. Responding to journalists, the ACC Chairman said not only DC offices but also district, upazila and union level officers under the DC offices have been asked to stay free from corruption. Meanwhile, Textiles and Jute Minister Jahangir Kobir Nanok briefed journalists after the 8th working session on the second day of DC Conference. Addressing journalists, he said anti-plastic campaigns will be strengthened to protect environment after the month of Ramadan. But ahead of this, programs to discourage plastic bag users will be adopted by holding meetings with concerned ministries, including the Environment, Forest and Climate Change Ministry, he added. State Minister for Labour and Employment Mohammad Nazrul Islam Chaudhry and Secretary of Textiles and Jute Ministry Mohammad Abdul Rauf were present among others. Earlier, after the 6th session, State Minister for Shipping Khalid Mahmood Chaudhry briefed journalists. He said the issue of protecting rivers should be emphasized as everything, including climate and environment, are related to this. The State Minister also said Deputy Commissioners will cross-check if the projects are being implemented properly. State Minister for Water Resources Zahid Farooq was present on the occasion. The Directorate of Health has come forward to stop the incidence of deaths caused by wrong treatment. Massive drives are underway across the country to shut substandard and illegal hospitals and clinics. Legal measures, including fine and shutting hospitals and clinics, are being taken. Health Minister Dr. Shamantul Al-Shen said that the drives will continue. He asked Deputy Commissioners to extend cooperation in this regard. On now to international news. Again opened fire at people seeking aid in Gaza City, killing and wounding dozens in another horrific massacre. The Health Ministry in Gaza said this today. The attack comes as Vice President of the United States appeals for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, but stops short of calling for a permanent end to Israel's assault. Meanwhile, a Hamas representative says the group's delegation in Egypt is working very seriously to reach an agreement, while Israeli media report Israel has decided not to send its delegation. Hamas's team and mediators from the US and Qatar are understood to be in Egypt's capital, Cairo, for the planned negotiations. US Vice President Kamala Harris said people in Gaza are starving and has urged Israel to significantly increase the flow of aid there. She said there must be an immediate ceasefire for at least the next 6 weeks, which would get the Israeli hostages out. At least 30,534 Palestinians have been killed and 71,700 wounded in Israeli attacks on Gaza since October the 7th. At least 170 people, including women and children, have been executed in attacks on 3 villages in Burkina Faso, a public prosecutor has said. Ali Benjamin Coulibaly appealed for witnesses to help find those who attacked Komsilga, Nordin and Soro. Separately, the army warned of the increased risk of attacks by militants, including attacks on urban centers. The country's army seized power in 2022, but more than a third of Burkina Faso is controlled by insurgents. Ali Benjamin Coulibaly said he had launched an investigation into the village attacks in Yatenga province on the 25th of February. Agency reports said that dozens of women and children were among the dead. It was not known which group was behind the attacks. Nikki Haley has defeated Donald Trump in the Republican primary in Washington, D.C. This is her first victory over the former president in the 2024 campaign to become the Republican presidential candidate. She lost in South Carolina, her home state, but she is the first woman to win a Republican primary in U.S. history. Mr. Trump, however, has a huge lead over Miss Haley and is likely to face Joe Biden in the November election. Reports say Ms. Haley will receive all 19 Republican delegates who were up for grabs in Washington, D.C., giving her 43 delegates nationwide, well behind Mr. Trump's 247. Ms. Haley, a former U.S. ambassador to the UN, won 60.9% of the vote to Mr. Trump's 33.2%. It is seen as a largely symbolic win, as the capital is a heavily Democratic-leaning jurisdiction, with only about 23,000 registered Republicans in the city. Haiti has declared a 72-hour state of emergency and night curfew in and around the capital because of 2 jailbreaks and spiraling insecurity. At the weekend, armed gangs stormed a major Port-au-Prince prison, leading to the killing of at least 12 people and release of around 4,000 inmates. Gang leaders say they want to force the resignation of Prime Minister Ariel Henry, who is outside the country. The groups aiming to oust him control around 80% of Port-au-Prince. A government statement said 2 prisons, one in the capital and the other in nearby Cross des Bouquets, were stormed over the weekend. Now weather. The Met Office, in its weather forecast till 6 p.m. tomorrow, said rain or thunder showers accompanied by temporary gusty wind is likely at 1 or 2 places over Rajshahi, Dhaka and Khulna divisions. Besides, weather may remain mainly dry with a temporary partly cloudy sky elsewhere over the country. Night temperature may remain nearly unchanged and day temperature may rise slightly over the country, said the Met Office. On now to sports news. Sri Lanka defeated Bangladesh by 3 runs in the first match of the 3-match series in Sylhet tonight. Chasing the victory target of 207, Bangladesh managed to score 203 for 8 in their stipulated 20 overs. Jakir Ali scored 68 runs off 34 balls and Mahmudullah Riyad scored 54 off 31 balls. Earlier, Bangladesh won the toss and sent Sri Lanka to bat first. The Lankans scored 206 for 3 in their stipulated 20 overs. Sadira Samarawikrama scored an unbeaten 61, Charith Asalanka 44 not out, and Kusal Mendy scored 59 runs for Sri Lanka. And to wind up, here once again are the main points. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina distributes medals among 72 selected BGB personnel for their heroism and outstanding contributions. BGB being built as modern and smart force with international standard to ensure border security, says Prime Minister. Anti-Corruption Commission Chairman calls upon Deputy Commissioners to keep their houses free from corruption. Raids to close illegal clinics, diagnostic centres and hospitals strengthened across the country. Israel attacks Gaza severely amid ongoing ceasefire talks. US Vice President Kamala Harris appeals for immediate ceasefire. And Sri Lanka beat Bangladesh by 3 runs in the first T20 of the 3-match series in Sylhet. That's all from the newsroom for now. Thank you for being with us. If you can, please join us for our 11:30 news in Bangla.